Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the EUMANS weekly meeting, which for the next weeks is focused on the Congress in Warsaw. Welcome to the newcomers, in particular Tiala, who I met last week in Brussels in the Science for Democracy office, and she was interested together with a couple of other students from the European University Institute in Florence to help us with the preparation of the Congress and join this the initiative. So as we discussed in our meeting last week, the need now is to try and define the scope of the Congress, the way how we presented it to potential participants and invitees, and also to define the outreach strategy to present the Congress and start to promoting it. So for this purpose, what I did was to prepare a not designed but conceptual presentation, a slide deck that we will go through, that in my idea should be what we will craft as the presentation to share with the people that we want to involve in the Congress. And it's also a good way for us to exactly understand what we're gonna do in Warsaw. And also I prepared a strategy for connecting with the people that we want to invite in the Congress in Warsaw. So for the structure of the meeting tonight, I'm gonna walk all of us through this presentation so that we can also gather some feedback and see if it does the purpose, and then decide among us how we are gonna proceed with the next steps and the outreach. I want to mention that after the meeting that we had in Brussels with Isabella, Martina, and Deborah, we discussed a bit how to use the framework of European projects, European funded projects, to try and present the Congress so that potentially we can try and apply for some fundings. I spoke with Marco Cappato about it, and the idea is to focus as much as possible on the key pillars and then see if any potential funding opportunity arrives, but we think it's better to start to have a basic program and then eventually work on more specific fundraising strategies. But it's very important to launch the idea that this is going to happen, and then eventually we will see if something else can be done. Just 1 second, because I see that Sibilla Barbieri is joining as well, so I don't do the presentation twice. Okay, here she is, Sibilla. And I also want to share a very good news, which is that we had a verbal agreement from the School of Interpretation and Languages in Forlì in Italy, and their students are going to be available for us until the Congress for our weekly meetings for translations from Italian to English and from English to Italian. So basically this is going to be an important opportunity for us to increase the participants in these meetings, both among the Italians who don't speak English and for English speakers to feel more welcomed. And so we are going to have a partnership with the interpreters, students of interpretation, to have multilingual meetings. So yes, as Miriam says, is a very good news. Okay, let me share my screen. So I'm going to walk us through the presentation. As I said, it's not designed, but all the concepts should be there. So don't judge it by its appearance. 1 second. Okay, can you see my screen? Can you see the screen?
Yes,
no?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so the title of the Congress Of course, is the Humans Congress, but most importantly, is an opportunity for citizens to gather in Warsaw. So the idea is to title it as Citizens for Democracy and Sustainability, to put very clear that it's an event for citizens with specific goals in mind. Sorry, okay, no, this is. So the presentation ideally should start on what it is humans, because it's organized by humans, and it's important that it's clear that it's us organizing the Congress. I put here the main information. So the key facts, like where the association is registered, the fact that we have the goal for humans to be a European association, and the fact that Marco Cappato is the founder and the headquarters is in Brussels. I reference to the human statute, both in terms of the methodology that we have to carry initiatives, or that we want to build with the Congress in itself, and the reference to popular and nonviolent initiative and the specific goals, and a few lines on the fact that Humans is an open platform for citizens with opportunity to participate and opportunity to become a member of Humans. I added some of a series of slides on the key initiatives that Humans carried on between 2019 from its foundation to 2021, to try to use this as a simple explanation of the methodology and the type of action that we already did, and that characterize the way how our movement operates and should operate. So I started with the initiative for carbon pricing, specifying the launch of the European Citizen Initiative, the type of support that we got, but also how we bring it to the European Parliament and transform it into the initiative for global carbon pricing. So, I mean, the EU signed the initiative for the promotion of the information on participatory democracy, which of course is essential for everything that we are gonna do, and also a reference to the You Can Do It European Citizen Initiative, You Can Do It petition to the European Parliament, again during the COVID outbreak last year. And I mentioned, I think it's important to mention also the initiatives carried on in Italy, in particular for democracy, the European, the sortition-based citizen assemblies, Bill of Popular Initiative, and also how Humans contributed to the campaign for the digital signature on referendum and popular initiatives in Italy, with the other organization involved this summer in that acceleration of the campaign, and a reference to the two referendum, the one for the legalization of euthanasia in Italy and the legalization of cannabis in Italy. I added these for two reasons. First of all, because they are quite a significant success in terms of campaigning and something very historical, not only for Italy, but for the European Union. And also because these two campaigns are gonna have their hype after the Congress in Warsaw, and it's important to use them also as an opportunity to bring these two topics into the European framework. Then I did these slides to focus on very simply, or as simply as possible, on the purpose of the Citizens Congress in Warsaw. I tried to use very simple language. So the goal of in my opinion, the purpose of the Congress in Warsaw is to create a network of European citizens that agree on the goals, civil rights, democracy, and sustainable development, that identify the European political space as a guarantee to achieve the needs that are suffocated by national governments and the fight for electoral consensus. And the third point, which is the will to activate instruments of direct and participatory democracy to strengthen both their national goals and the role of citizens against the failure of intergovernmental approaches. I think having this clear in the presentation and the way how we approach people who we want to be with us in Warsaw is very important, because it's kind of the difference between a conference, event to discuss issues. No, what we are trying to do is something that, starting from the issues, identify participatory democracy as the way to go forward and to have an agreement among the participants in what we want to happen after the Congress. What will be at the center of the Citizens Congress in Warsaw? So the list of topics that are gonna be the objective. So the rule of law and democracy, in particular with a focus on the role of European citizens. The topic of end-of-life decisions, and this goes in connection with the Euthanasia campaign, and in particular the proposal for a European living will. The cannabis legalization topic, abortion and sexual and reproductive rights, which is of course particularly relevant for the place where we are going, which is Poland. I forgot some letters, sorry. LGBTQIA plus rights, which is a topic where we need to do a bit of research, but we go back to this point later on. The ecological and economical sustainability, in particular based on the principle make polluters pay, which carbon pricing is one of the key elements. The rights to science and open access, which is going to be carried on in collaboration with Science for Democracy, and the proposals for a European sortition-based citizen assembly, and all innovations that are needed for a digital political European citizenship. Sorry, I don't know why I wrote initiative, I will correct that. So, and this part specifically, we might carry on with our partners of the Citizens Takeover Europe coalition. Then I tried to clarify what will be the output of the Citizens Congress in Warsaw, so that everyone who sees the presentation, and all of us as well, have a clear idea of what is the methodology that we are going to have at the Congress. So each topic will be discussed combining the presence of experts in the field, at least 2 significant activists in different members from significant member states for that specific goal, and of course the citizens who will be in Warsaw. Each topic will be tackled, I think, in a similar way. So first of all, identifying a foundational report or official document that can be either at the UN level or the European Union level, that can be the reference around which build our proposals. A draft for a petition, the output should be a draft for a petition to the European Parliament for each topic. Ideally, we should be able to present these drafts before the Congress, so that that can be the basis of the discussion, and can be developed with preliminary transnational meetings on the topic with the people that we identify we want to be in Warsaw with us. And each petition then will be the foundation for a dedicated campaign to further develop the network and strengthen the collaboration, so that it can be then transformed after the Congress into a deepened political strategy that can be kind of deployed through European citizen initiatives, direct action, non-violent initiatives, and other forms of active participation for citizens. The partners for the Congress, so who are going to be our potential partners, or as I mentioned, for sure, Science for Democracy, the Citizens Takeover Europe coalition, of which EUMANS is a member of, local universities in Warsaw, but also universities across the EU who might have researchers that are experts in the different topics. The networks of mayors who supported previous initiatives promoted by EUMANS or potentially new mayors. Grassroots organizations, which are different from traditional NGOs, This doesn't mean that we don't want to have NGOs at the Congress, but we prefer to have movements and groups of citizens that are self-organized for shared goals, and the presence of the members of the European Parliament that might be relevant for the different topics. This is a potential timetable and draft program for the 2 days of the Congress. So to start on the effective days for the Congress would be the 11th and the 12th of March. So a Friday and a Saturday. Of course, depending on the availability of the people that we engage, the program would be different, but I think maybe we want to consider those topics that I mentioned at the beginning and split them between the 2 days. And on the day before, to have something that can drive the attention toward the Congress. And for this, we have 2 opportunities. One is a Right to Science ready-made workshop that Science for Democracy has available, which can be proposed to one of the universities in Warsaw, and it can be a way to engage the academic community before the Congress, but also to drive them toward the Congress. And of the evening of the 10th of March, an event with the Italian community with Marco Cappato as the main guest, of course, with a focus on the 2 referendums that are going to be launched in terms of electoral campaign in the weeks after the Congress. In terms of the roadmap and actions, here I identified the steps for us as organizers. So I think by the end of next week, we should aim for having a better version of this presentation as a document that can be shared with the people that we want to be in contact with, mapping the existing contacts in the EUMANS database and new contacts for the different initiatives with a criteria based on those categories that I mentioned earlier that are active on the topic with a focus on direct action and participatory democracy. Then in the first 2 weeks of December to work on the presentation on the EUMANS website of the Congress to aim for having that ready for mid-December. And of course, to start to look for a location for the Congress in itself, also thanks to the contacts that we already have in Warsaw. And ideally being ready to launch the landing page for the Congress and the first donations page before Christmas on the 16th of December. We also have our membership with Vox Europe, which allows us to publish in 3 European languages. So to have a good article that can be kind of spread in the European public sphere, and to have on that date the EUMANS Quarterly Members Assembly, which is going to be also a way to present officially the Congress. And then in January to focus on the launch of the EUMANS membership campaign. So this is I didn't want to go too long, but I'm going to share the link in the chat so that you can all review what I just described. But I think this is in a nutshell the most efficient way to present what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and what's in there for people that we will reach out to in this phase. Before closing the presentation, I also want to share a second document that is going to be the drive for our next steps, which is a way to track down the people that we invite to the Congress, where they are, who they are, and to start to have an idea of the existing contacts and the new contacts that we map before the outreach phase. So I'm gonna stop sharing, and I'm gonna drop here the link to the presentation so that all of you can see that. Forgive me if there are some typos, I will review that, but I really wanted to have something ready for tonight's meeting for the basis of our discussion. The way how I conceived the presentation was also to kind of reply to the doubts that we had that arose in our last meeting last week and to try to have something that is a bit more clear of what we have so far. And of course, I think the presentation should be sent alongside the discursive document, which is the EUMANS Warsaw concept note that all of you have seen, which is more kind of elaborated with more theory behind it, etc., etc. So the floor is for everyone for comments and questions, ideas, and so forth and so on. Since Marco, you haven't seen this before, so maybe you have already some comments, but please.
Okay, Virginia, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, thank you very much, Virginia. I think it's a very concrete step in the right direction, because more than discussing, it's really now a matter of putting together ideas and contacts. I think there is a logistical key issue, which is where the Congress will happen, because once we have the guarantee of a location, then it's easier to build around it, like a flight, logistic, hotels, and so on, hoping that the pandemics will not ruin the effort. But I think we could, I don't know, I mean, I don't want to launch in forecast about that, but I hope that for March, this new wave will be slowed down. So that's important. I think it's very important to find the right combination between the specific issues that you mentioned and the general methodology. So the specific issues like euthanasia, cannabis, LGBTQ+, rule of law, and so on. But at the same time, the idea of having citizens discussing it directly, where government are not that able to govern the situation. So it will not be easy to find the right balance between these two forces and two needs, but we of course can try. Today we had a chat with the Italian ambassador in Warsaw, and that could be useful to have some diplomatic assistance in identifying key actors in Poland. But of course, we are not talking just about Polish people. We are also trying to build a pan-European event. So that's also a very important point. I think that nowadays there is a huge visibility to what the bad guys are, in a way. So Orban, Maciejewski, Polish, the Hungarian government, and then Putin, Erdogan, and so on. But at the same time, and they cooperate very well together. And there is really a lack of cooperation among those forces in Europe that are standing for civil freedom, LGBTQ+ rights, euthanasia, and so on. So I think that we could, outside, as an external sense that we should give, transmit the urgency of having something that could balance this international cooperation among nationalists and populists in a way. So, but this is something that we have to build on contents, not just to declare it, but to translated in concrete institutional goals. So that's the difficult part of it. You already mentioned in your document. So I think we should start working on that with specific meetings on specific topics, but at the same time without following the common tail which is binding those issues together.
Thank you, Marco. In order to facilitate the conversation, two things. I think one important thing is to go through the presentation and for all of us suggest if it makes sense, if it's something that can be crafted to be sent to the people that we want to reach out, as well as for the location. Like this goes for the location and for the activities that we want to involve. And also I think for all of us here, it will be helpful to understand, for example, I know Martina is ready to start with the networking actions, maybe in particular for LGBTQIA issues, but not only, but to clarify what each one of you can do, if it's more the research, if it's more the outreach, if it's more the research around the foundational materials for each policy. For some of the things we are already in an advanced stage, like the euthanasia and cannabis legalization, for example. For the LGBTQIA plus issues, it's going to be a bit more difficult because we need to find the European Union competencies that we could tackle with a petition, and at the same time can be a sort of a reference point for the LGBTQ community. Marco was referencing to the preparatory meetings. So I just want to clarify that I think our strategy here should be, this is the presentation of the Congress. Dear activists in Lithuania for LGBTQIA rights, this is what we're doing. Are you interested in working on this together with others? Maybe defining some dates to invite all the LGBTQ people for a meeting on the policy proposal, the approach, and so forth and so on, another one on the rule of law, etc., etc. So to try to use the preparatory meetings to build up not only the community of people who will be part of the Congress, but also the political debate and the technical, pass me the term, debate that is needed to arrive at the Congress with something concrete to be discussed. Just to clarify what we need to get out of these talks tonight. For example, whilst I was going through the presentation, I think it's a bit too heavy on the what humans have done at the beginning. Probably should be the other way around, like what we're gonna do in Warsaw and then what humans already did, because it may be more interesting for the people that we reach out to. And I realized it while I was describing it. Okay, Lorenzo Mineo and then Sibilla Barbieri.
Okay, thank you, Virginia. To be honest, I would need a little bit more time for suggestion on the document. You know, I'm a thoughtful person, but I will. And just a suggestion, and I would like to underline a good point that we are making, I think, in this document, a good strategic choice. This time we are starting from a political area, civil rights, on which we are already doing something huge in Italy with the two referenda and the history of Marco and all that stuff. I think this is important because we know that we have the ambition of building a pan-European movement, and this means to propose every kind of political proposal at 360 degrees. But at the same time, the lesson learned from the Stop Global Warming initiative is that if we want to start an initiative at the pan-European level without having a pan-European network, this could be very risky and difficult to start it and to achieve the objective. But if we start from an area on which we have a credibility for our interlocutors in Europe, this could be different because we already collected many signatures in Italy and on direct democracy initiatives. And most important, we already demonstrated that we can achieve political reform through direct democracy with our action. So I think it could be a lot easier to be recognized as a promoter of democracy in this context. And it could be the very good direction to use the true referendum to build European initiative at pan-European level. This doesn't mean that humans must be, of course, the only civil rights pan-European movement in Europe. We still need to have this ambition of doing politics at 360 degrees, we can say. But this starting point, I think it's a condition for the building of a fully political, let's say, movement at pan-European level. And this is even a more powerful thing given the situation that we have in Poland regarding civil rights. The fact of being here and doing a Congress, Citizens Congress focused on these issues can be a political message even beyond the issue that we are addressing during the Congress. So just my 2 cents to underline this good strategical choice that we are making.
Sorry, Lawrence, just to understand if I mean, I get the political reasoning, but do you think, for example, we should make more visible what we did in Italy in the presentation, for example, or do you think we should start from that? Like, how would, I mean, even not necessarily now, but I think it's important maybe even on Humans Agora to try to see, okay, how this can be used. Mainly, we will reach out to people via email. In a lot of cases, I mean, for some instances, we have the contacts. For other instances, we are building that. So I think what you're saying is super important, but my question is how we can show these without 1 million words, basically.
I think it could be useful to show our successful story, Italian story. At the same time, maybe to see if there are, of course, there are other successful political stories around Europe that could be part of the presentation, even if it's not started by humans, but we can receive some contribution probably that will show a broader context of what we want to be.
Thank you, Lorenzo. Sibilla, and then Marco.
Okay, we start with the presentation. Okay, the first things is that we can, okay, at the beginning we introduce what is humans. And for me, in this scheda, in this first card, I think that we can underline what is, there is some like a current because I think in Italian too quick. Okay, we need to underline what is our 4 capital point from the beginning of this presentation. When we speak about humans, we can start to put in evidence the 4 elements of ecology, rights, and what we say the other time, in the next introduction. So if we put in the first chart, when we say what is humans, and then we can pass through the third and the fourth, in which we say what we have done. And we still have a line, okay? Our nature is this, and this is what we have done for all these points, okay? And so there is a coherence, there is a line that is clear. And then when we go to the chart that is the 8 and the 9, right? The purpose of the Congress. I think that the 9 have to come before the 8. Because we say what is our purpose and the way in which we want to arrive to do. And still here, we can keep the idea of the 4 capital point. And so we can share this point, the degree of goals, civil rights, like the consequence of our capital point. About, I don't know, I'm clear, Virginia, on what I'm saying?
I'm diligently taking notes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, what the Congress can do. And we speak about the idea to do petition for every argument. I think that the Congress could be an occasion to spread the mouth, to spread the word about the initiative. Marco was speaking about the idea that the net of the activists is really weak. And I think that we can use the Congress like the possibility. For example, I'll give you an example. We decided to do an initiative or something. In the meantime, the university in Italy had this day to spread the word about this. But spread the word is a political initiative. Because we need to strengthen something. Strengthen. Okay, the net. And that is the way in which we can do. We have to communicate that to spread the word is an action.
On this point, just to clarify, this part that you're saying will be in slide number 10.
Right.
A campaign to create a network of support around each one of the petitions. So the idea is that during the Congress, for each initiative, we discuss the object of the petition and the key elements of how that initiative could be communicated and propagated for each initiative. I mean, part of that can be discussed before the Congress, but otherwise what we talk about during the Congress.
But imagine that if during the Congress, for each initiative, we have somebody that spread the word. For one, there is a group of something, for is the university, for another is this. In the meantime, like an action, is not only the petition. Is another.
Personally, I don't understand, Sibilla. Maybe I'm the only one, but I don't understand.
Okay.
To spread the word, what does it mean? I don't see it as a political.
I see what is the person that then participated at the reunion. May I say it in Italian?
Tiala, do you mind if Sibilla express herself in Italian, just to be sure that...
Sorry, I think I'll get it.
Okay. Ah, yeah, you study in Italy, so okay, cool. Sibilla, please go in Italian.
Ok. Se durante il congresso, nello stesso tempo, come se fosse un'iniziativa politica, ok, noi facciamo una discussione e questa discussione è riportata in maniera però come se appunto fosse un evento da delle, per esempio, dicevo, da un'università italiana, no? In quel momento lì, perché quello è l'evento, la costruzione di un net, però non ne stiamo soltanto discutendo lì, li mettiamo in comunicazione contemporanea perché quello è l'evento, quella è l'azione della costruzione del net che avviene in quel momento. Non so se sono stata più chiara.
I think, I don't know if Marco wants to comment. I think I
Okay.
get it. And I think this is part of what we need to prepare before with the community that we gather from now until the 10th of March, let's say. I think we should think with the people that we involve how to make the Congress, if I'm understanding what you're saying, visible during the days of the Congress on the topics that we are discussing. So it's part of the build-up strategy, but also the activities that we're going to do in Warsaw, online and offline, while the Congress happens, if I am understanding what you're saying. But let's keep the...
Yeah, okay.
Like, we can elaborate.
Because we are talking about what action we can do after the Congress. I say during the Congress, we do an action that is in that moment, create the net.
Yeah, I got it. But it's,
okay.
We need to prepare it before, like it's part
yes,
of
that's
how we
for
prepare
sure.
it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Sibi. Marco had his hand raised.
Yes. Just to say that maybe, well, all the description of what we did in the past, I think is in a way is the last thing. Is okay. This is what we want to do. If you want to know also what we did in the past, here you can find it. Because if not, it's a little bit. Chart 8 is too late to express what we want to do. I mean, I would start with what we want to do, and then, of course, if you want to know more about us and the credibility of what we did, then you have all the information. I was wondering, but it's not a proposal, just a doubt or a question, if it will be helpful to explicitly mention enemies or adversaries in a way that, as I said before, is very visible and vocal, the alliance among nationalists like Orban, Salvini, Le Pen, Maria Franceschi, how do you name it? When all these people are meeting together and they are much more united than the pro-European government, because pro-European government are divided in different parties. Macron, I mean, there is not such a unity among let's say pro-European government. So in a way, without exaggerating on our possibility, it could be interesting to present the Congress as an occasion to create a platform, a network, and potentially a movement of people who are building an alternative to nationalism, which is not based on government, but on citizens. And this, if we are more explicit in targeting the enemies in a way, that could facilitate the gathering of attention. I think, for example, on social media, or this was the first thing that I want to say. The other thing is that maybe, well, on the program to start on Thursday and to close on Sunday night, I think is a little bit too much probably, but we have to probably to compress it a little bit. I don't know if the Science for Democracy event could be within the 2 days on Friday and Saturday, but this we can decide. We are not obliged to decide it immediately. And then Charter 6, what will be the output of the Citizens Congress in Warsaw? I think that maybe we should explicit here the output is to create the platform. And then there are tools like petitions, because we know that petition is a very weak instrument, no? Per se, is not a strong institutional tool. As you said before, it can become a strong tool if you build around a community and a campaign. So probably we can explicitly mention that the day after Warsaw, we want to build this platform, and in a way, and we will use all the tools that the European Union is giving to us, as petitions and European Citizen Initiative and so on. So in a way, humans becomes a goal in itself, not because humans is a goal, but the creation of a civic pan-European platform becomes a goal. This maybe is something that we should elaborate on in order to not discourage in a way people that, okay, yes, you have huge objectives, but we know that petition to the European Parliament is not such a strong tool to, I don't know, legalize cannabis or no, in Europe is not enough. No, and we don't have to look like we were so naive thinking that a petition was enough.
On this point, Marco, I just want to specify the difference between slide 5 and slide 6. So slide 5 is what's the purpose, and it is more the platform. And then slide 6 is the output, which of course I think it's good to rephrase it, maybe adding a bit of energy, but it's more, probably I used a bit of a feedback from last week, which is, okay, but then what is the tangible thing? So the idea was the purpose is the platform, the output is this sort of 4 things for each initiative, but of course it can be clarified better, but purpose and output, I used it in 2 different slides exactly for what you said, just because people that go through the presentation can imagine something that they have in their hands the day after. So, but
okay. Yes, I didn't connect enough Charter 4 and Charter 6, so maybe it can just more explicitly linked. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Marco. Tiala, you don't know, but I have this habit of throwing people under the bus. No, but since it's the first time that you hear this, maybe your feedback is valuable because you never had heard the full story before. So I think it's always good to have the first reaction of someone joining for the first time, if you want.
Right. I mean, to me, it all sounds very good and very inspiring, and I really like the project in itself. I think it would be good, as Sibila said earlier, to put the values in the first slide. Like, I think it's quite nice for people to know like what you stand for from the beginning. And yeah, I do think that highlighting your work with the 2 referendums in Italy could be very valuable because I mean, I'm a French citizen, and so I had not heard of them before coming here, but they are very inspiring for people who do stand for these values in other countries to hear the success you had in Italy. So yeah, overall, I think it's a very good presentation.
Thank you very much.
Virginia, could be a stupid idea to do a petition to strengthen the ICE?
So I think you instinctively using a weak tool to strengthen a weak tool might not be the best strategy, but I think having a debate on what can be done to strengthen the ECI can also be a way to have with us the EU sign the coalition, etc. but probably I wouldn't use the petition for this. Yeah, like it sounds like a bit. Oh, it can be very ironical. Maybe we can do it, but I think adding the strengthening of participatory democracy instruments as what can we do for that can be helpful. Okay, so we have our last 5 minutes. First of all, if anyone wants to add something, that's a good moment. My suggestion is if you can take some time before the weekend, ideally, to go through again the presentation. I added an initial slide with the comments, but if you want to have a look, and I'm going to share it also on Humans Agora and on Slack again, so that next week we can have a version that it can be used in the situations that we described. And also, if you want to have some thoughts on some issues that we kind of want to take care of specifically, and then we interact with each other on how to do it. But basically, as you see, we do what we can do because we are here. So having a thought on what practically can be done. Just to remind us, the next step is finalizing the presentation, being ready to send it around, and to find the relevant interlocutors. On my side, I'm currently working on the contacts that we already had on the different issues, so that we know who we already either worked with or reached out for previous initiatives, and we want to go back to them again. Plus, with Marco and Lorenzo, we had a few meetings in the past weeks, as you said, with the ambassador of Italy in Poland, with a couple of MEPs. So we promise them a finalized document to move things forward. And of course, this is going to be sent out with the concept note. So it's not only the presentation, the more discursive, theoretical framework is in the concept note. So people will have the presentation to quickly go through that, and the why in Poland, etc., is in the concept note. So it's a rich package. Thanks for being here. You know the channels now to communicate with each other. I'm gonna drop again here the Slack invite, so we can chat there. There is a Warsaw channel in there as well. And also, if you have colleagues, friends, fellow activists that you think might be interested either in specific topics or in the whole project, feel free to invite them. It's a good moment to start.
Grazie, thank you.
Grazie a tutti, tutte.
Bye,
everyone.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye bye. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.